Hello, welcome back to a game design discussion. There's a massive rigmarole right now with the announcement of DLSS 5 by NVIDIA. You may have seen the memes already, but let's just say that there's a lot of voices in the gaming community that are vehemently against DLSS. Yes, there's no end to the memes. Some funny bugger called this the ghost of yo tits. But jokes aside, to be honest, I have to agree that there's something wrong with this. It's one thing for the GPU to do things like enhancing the lighting in a scene, or even generating extra frames, but it's quite another to redraw NPCs. There's just something off-putting about seeing how the AI changes the faces. And after thinking about it for a bit, for me the reason has to be that you're taking something that a visual designer put a lot of thought and work into how exactly should look. But then you're applying an AI filter afterwards that makes it look different. So what the player ends up seeing is not what the visual designer intended. You're seeing what the AI intended you to see. From my perspective, this is the main problem with AI filters that companies like NVIDIA are trying to push. You're changing the artist's work. How is this any different from that infamous Ekemono fresco? It's exactly the same problem. You're changing the work. Personally, this is where I would draw the line. If AI is making the final decision on something, that's a problem, regardless of whether we're talking about NPC faces or dialogue or whatever else. So I understand why there's a pushback against this type of AI. But at the same time, we also need to be careful about pushing back against all AI just because it's AI. What I'm talking about is AI when it's used to help speed up game development. Take Skyrim for example. It's well known that the landscape in Skyrim was initially created via procedural generation. So the developers gave a map to an AI and it created the landscapes in accordance to what the map said. After that, the human developer went and touched it up as needed to get the landscape they wanted. That's one of the earliest examples of AI helping developers do their work faster. And Skyrim is still rated as one of the most successful games of all time, and nobody complains about AI being used to generate the landscape. But the reason why it worked is because it was directed by a human. In other words, the human came up with the concept of what they wanted. In this case, a landscape reflecting the map of the province of Skyrim. The human is the one who read up on the lore of the Elder Scrolls and decided what the landscape needed to look like based on what the game needed. And after the AI was done, the human confirmed that the landscape from the AI was close to what they wanted and added some finishing touches. In other words, the human set the goal, let the AI do its work, but after that, they made sure that what came out was good enough to meet the goal. The same goes for the dungeon generation in Daggerfall. The dungeons for the main quests were handcrafted, but the random dungeons were put together on the fly when you first went there. So the developers created different blocks for corridors and rooms, and the procedural system put them together to create a dungeon. And some of the bigger random dungeons ended up being extremely complex, to the point that if the game didn't come with an auto mapper, it would have been almost impossible to finish some of them. On the very rare occasion you might run into a dungeon that couldn't be done, but pretty much every random dungeon ended up looking pretty logical. So you can pretty much tell that the system has checks and balances that were put there by the human developers to make sure dungeons made sense. This is another example of an automated system that does what it's supposed to do, but only because there's human checks and balances in place. And that's generally when AI works well, when it's controlled by an experienced human. But the problem we're seeing with AI in gaming today is that we're being asked to just accept pure artificial intelligence output. This is what DLSS 5 is doing. It's pure AI output without any human oversight. Right now it's still in the early stages, so we can see some flaws, and eventually in the future we can expect that it will become indistinguishable from real video. But I would suggest that people will still continue to reject it, because I know I will. And the reason is that it's not the product of a creative mind. It's nothing but a mimicry of human creativity. When a person makes a movie or a game or writes a novel, they're trying to express their own thoughts and emotions in a way that the audience will be able to experience. When you choose the camera angle on a cutscene, you do it because you think it will emphasize a particular emotion. It might be awe, or fear, or even warmth. But the important thing is that you're trying to communicate with the audience. AI can copy many of these techniques because they're common in existing media. That's literally why you have film and music schools. Teach those techniques that are commonly used in their industries. So AI will be able to copy. But what it can never do is innovate and come up with better ways to communicate with the audience. That's because AI can never understand the human experience. So it can never independently come up with something that will inspire a human. This is at the root of why people are rejecting the AI filters in DLSS 5. They may not be able to put it in exact terms, but they instinctively understand that this is not the product of human emotion, so it just doesn't resonate with them. AI as a tool can be acceptable in the right situation. I've seen a few AI short films, and I can tell you that no matter how good they look, you just can't bring yourself to care about what you're seeing, because in the back of your mind, you just know that it's not real. I'm not paying for that. The same goes for games. Why would you pay for games that were made by AI? As we saw with Skyrim and Daggerfall, AI as a tool can be acceptable in the right situation. But what the AI companies are asking us to do is accept pure AI that has no human input or human direction, like those AI filters in DLSS 5. This is the fundamental problem, and it's one that can't be overcome. For the AI companies, pure AI means more money, so they'll continue pushing it. But on the other side, the audience will continue to reject it. You can't force people to accept something just because you'll make more money out of it. It doesn't work that way.